Sarah is a New York State Notary Public working in the commercial banking department of a large financial institution. She has been asked to notarize a set of documents related to a substantial commercial loan involving multiple corporate entities. Upon review, Sarah notices that the document contains several financial terms and conditions, and there's an addendum referenced in one document that isn't attached. How should Sarah proceed? To help us answer this question, it's worth noting under the Judiciary Law, Section 484, that none but attorneys to practice in the state. In other words, only notaries public who are attorneys can practice as attorneys as well, but if a notary public is not an attorney, the notary public cannot act as an attorney. There are other sections in the Notary Public License Law booklet as well that discusses this, but this is a reference to one of those sections. So with this in mind, let's have a look at the four choices to determine our solution. Choice A states, review all financial figures, terms, and conditions for accuracy, ensuring the loan terms are legally sound. Well, as I just read from before, the notary public who's not an attorney cannot undertake matters that are left for attorneys, and therefore reviewing figures, terms, etc. to make sure they're legally sound is beyond the scope of what a notary public who's not an attorney is allowed to do, and therefore choice A is not the correct solution. Choice B states, verify the identities and signing authority of the individual signing on behalf of each corporate entity and confirm that all required documents are present before notarizing. Now this seems to be the prudent course of action and therefore our solution, but before we mark it as such, let's have a look at choices C and D just to be sure. Choice C states, notify her supervisor and suggest postponing the transaction until legal counsel has reviewed all terms and conditions. This is incorrect because getting the supervisor involved and advising as to a postponement so that legal counsel can check terms and conditions is beyond the scope of what the notary public ought to do. The notary public should be ensuring that the required documents are there and that the identities have been verified, etc., as I read from in choice B above, but getting the legal counsel involved, etc., is beyond that scope, and therefore choice C is not the correct solution. And finally, choice D states, notarize the documents only if the loan officer present vouches for the accuracy of the financial details and completeness of the paperwork. Now, this choice is somewhat tempting because on its face, it would seem that it makes sense to have somebody vouching for the fact that the paperwork is complete. However, what's transpiring here is that Sarah, the notary public, clearly saw that there was a missing addendum. So proceeding with the notarization just based on the loan officer's word that the documents are actually complete is not the correct course of action. Sarah must satisfy herself independently of that loan officer that the paperwork is complete, and therefore choice D is not the correct solution, which indeed leaves choice B, verify the identities and signing authority of the individual signing on behalf of each corporate entity, and confirm that all required documents are present before notarizing as the correct solution.